Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to deal with the poem 2.5 Nose versus Eyes, written by William Cowper. He is an 18th century poet. This poem is a satire on the judicial system. Now, let us try to understand the poem in detail. I am referring to page 88 of the textbook. Nose versus Eyes. Between nose and eyes, a strange contest arose. The spectacles set them unhappily wrong. The point in dispute was, as all the world knows, to which the said spectacles ought to belong. Now, as you understand from the first line, that there is a disagreement between two principal characters, that is the nose and the eyes, and both of them are claiming their sole right over the ownership of the spectacles. Okay, so there is a dispute, a strange contest. Okay, there's a fight between the two, and who has created the problem? The problem is created by the spectacles. And what is the issue here? The issue is to whom does the specs belong? So the next stanza. So Tongue was the lawyer and argued the cause with a great deal of skill and a wig full of learning, while Chief Baron Ear sat to balance the laws, so famed for his talent in nicely discerning. So now there is a case in the court. So you will have the lawyer to fight the case. So here the tongue is the lawyer. So you know that lawyers are very expert. They are very good in their language, okay, and they have a great skill in arguing the case. So the tongue was the lawyer and he is arguing the case with a great deal of skill. So he has a great expertise in this, and he is a wig full of learning. As such, the olden days you would see that the lawyers or the chief justice would wear a wig. Now these people are full of learning. They have just like they have swallowed the entire book of law. They are so skilled. They know every loophole, every article is by-hearted by them, right? So famed, while Chief Baron Ear, so there's a chief justice, he is there to listen to the case. Okay, whatever the lawyer presents, the way he presents his case, the chief justice is there to listen, and then he is so famed for the talent in nicely discerning. So he is a person who is having a good judgment. Okay, so he listened to his all viewpoints. Third stanza. In behalf of the nose it will quickly appear, and your lordship, he said, will undoubtedly find that the nose has had spectacles always in wear, which amounts to possession time out of mind. Now, to make his point even more clear, what he says is, he is speaking on behalf of the nose, and he says, your lordship, okay, that nose has had the spectacles always in wear. Where do you find these specs always? It is always seated on the nose. Okay, you have people wear specs to have clear vision, so it's always placed on the nose. That's the right place to keep the specs, and it has been there since ages. Okay, you don't wear it on the lip, nowhere else. There is no other place where you could comfortably place the specs. So since time immemorial, the specs has been placed on the nose. Then any court you have to present the evidence. The fourth stanza, what he says is, then holding the spectacles up to the court, your lordship observes that they are made with a straddle as wide as the ridge of the nose is in short, designed to sit close to it just like a saddle. Okay, proving his point, what he says is, the evidence is there. He says, look at the specs, see how it is designed. It's made with straddle. It has got two long, you would say that would be fixed on the ears, right? So it's like a straddle, which can be extended to both sides of the ears, and in the center it is like a ridge. On the center it sits perfectly over there, just like a saddle, a saddle is like which is placed on the horse, so that it's a seat which can be put over the horse and you can sit over it. Just like that, the specs can be made to sit over it, sit over the nose very comfortably, perfectly. So it is designed for the nose. There is no doubt, there is no other place where you could keep the specs. Fifth stanza. Again would your lordship a moment suppose, this is a case that has happened and maybe again, that the visage or the countenance had not a nose. Pray who would or could wear spectacles then? Okay, this says there is no other way. He says suppose, in case, you can assume, you just cannot imagine a face without a nose. Okay, so suppose, in case, the case has happened and may happen again. This case can come in future also, but then what he says is that the visage or the countenance, the face, okay, suppose you can you imagine a face without a nose? No, it would look terribly awful, right? A face would look incomplete without a nose. So the nose is required. Okay, so if there was no nose, so you would assume that the face is absolutely flat without the nose. So where would you keep the specs? This is flat. There needs some rest over here, right? This is the ridge and you could place it over here. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay? You don't have a nose. Okay, the nose has a different function, that is different. But then he's saying that what would have happened if there wouldn't have been a nose at all. The next stanza. On the whole it appears and my argument shows, with a reasoning the court will never condemn, that the spectacles plainly were made for the nose and the nose was as plainly intended for them. Then finally he says that on the whole, considering all the evidences and the proof and the his justifications, what he says is his argument, he has put everything across in front of the court, and he says that he's damn sure that the court will never condemn, that the court will never disapprove. So he is so sure that he has done an absolutely wonderful job. He has kept his point so clear in front of the court that the court cannot deny it, and it is such that the spectacles plainly are made for the nose. The nose is made for the specs and the specs is made for the nose. They are both complementary to each other. They cannot survive without each other. They are made for each other. So the lawyer has put forward his case in such a wonderful manner that there is no other say. There is no other viewpoint to counterpoint the other person. But then this is only the one side of it, right? The nose lawyer has spoken. Now you have to hear what the eyes lawyer has to say. Then shifting his side as a lawyer knows how, he pleaded again on behalf of the eyes. But what were his arguments few people know, for the court did not think they were equally wise. Okay, now the judge has to listen to the other side. Okay, and the lawyer has presented, the other side's lawyer has presented his case that it is meant for the eyes. Okay, if the eyes are not there, then what is the use of the specs? The specs are meant to improve the vision. This must have been his argument, right? So this is a valid argument, but the case has gone not in favor of the eyes. Why so? Because the court doesn't think there's a valid argument, because the lawyer of the nose has presented his case so well that he has left hardly any point for the eyes lawyer, right? He has no other justification rather than it's meant to improve the vision, which everybody knows. That is the truth. That's a fact. But the court always keeps its decision on the witness and the evidences which is presented before the court. So if you say, if the evidence is saying that ye aisa hai, this is night, even if it is day, all the evidences are there showing that it's night, means it's night. So the court will go only according to the evidences which are presented in the court. So now final stanza. His lordship decreed with a grave solemn tone, decisive and clear, without one if or but, that whenever the nose put his spectacles on, by daylight or candlelight, eyes should be shut. So now finally the lordship, that is the Chief Justice, has given his final verdict, his final judgment. Okay, the final order has come with a grave solemn tone, in a very formal and a dignified tone, which is very decisive. Okay, the decision is taken and it is absolutely clear, without one. Okay, that is, without the nose the specs cannot exist. Okay, and if the nose is not there, the specs cannot exist, and without the specs the nose cannot exist. That kind of a situation has arisen here. So now whatever the final decision is that whenever the nose puts on the specs, it has to be there. Okay, it is his duty that the specs has to be placed on the nose, whether it is daylight, whether it is required or no. Okay, some people might require it just for reading, they don't have they don't require it otherwise. Okay, so that's why he says, even if it is daylight or candlelight, even if it's day or night, doesn't matter, even the eyes should be shut, he should keep quiet. Again, that he knows that it is the injustice on that part, on his part, but then the eyes are supposed to be shut. That's why if you see that it's that's why this entire poem is like a mockery. It's just presented in a very humorous way, that how justice is so blind. Okay, all the facts are right clear in front of it, but just because there is not enough evidence, the case turns in favor of someone else who is absolutely wrong. Okay, so I hope you must have understood this poem. Thank you.